Welcome to the Deep Dive Podcast. Becoming the dad God has called you to be takes a deeper dive. Dads too often stay at surface level. So let's dive deep into today's podcast.
Welcome back to Season 2 of the Dad Deep Dive Podcast. We're so excited about this new season. We have a great lineup of speakers and men who are just incredible dads. And this first episode is no exception. Gary Hefner is a fabulous dad. Gary is, he's the lead guy at HEB in Magnolia, and he has an incredible story. The title of his talk is It Starts With Me. And what a great challenge that is to all of us, to remember that we're not victims of our circumstance. We get to control how we look at the things that happen in our lives. That's what we can control. Gary's an incredible husband and father, and I know you're going to be blessed with this conversation with Jeff Springer.
Well, Gary Hefner, man, I can't not believe that we finally got you here across the table to do this episode. I'm so excited to have you here with us.
Hey, I'm excited to be here, Jeff. You know, we've talked a lot about it. We've had a friendship for many, many years, and we understand each other well. And man, this is a big topic that we're going to talk about today. And I've been waiting to come in and see you.
Well, this is you. We have now moved into double digits in our podcast. You're number 10, but you're number 1 in season 2, or we, like in Dad University, we go by semesters. So this would be officially our first episode in semester 2. And so, so I'm honored that you are the one that's getting us started on this next round of Dad University Online. So, and I'm excited about thinking about the men and women possibly that will be listening in the future, and the lives that maybe will be impacted by our conversation today.
Well, first of all, Jeff, congratulations. If you're in season 2, something's going well, and hopefully, and I think we do know that people are being impacted, and that's the whole process behind Dad University. That's where this all started. That was your vision from the start, and I'm just lucky to be here. Whether I'm number 10 or number 1 or whatever it may be, I'm just excited that I could play a small part in this whole thing. So I appreciate the opportunity. You've done a great job with this.
Well, to God be the glory. And we're going to get to your topic, which was a topic, speaking of Dad Universities, prior to this pandemic, we were live. We were in person. We were doing in-person half-day, full-day Dad University men's conferences or gatherings. And so, now we've gone, we hope to get back to in-person one day, but from now on, we're going to also have this online platform, which, through this pandemic, we've, learning and has changed, and it's not going to go away. And so this platform that we've created called The Locker Room, we hope is a resource for individuals and for groups and for churches, across the country and globally. But your topic today, it starts with me. I want to get to that, and it was a popular topic as one of our sessions for Dad Universities. But I want you to for our listeners, I want you to introduce yourself as, what you do, and, talk about your family a little bit, and we'll go from there.
Well, sure. I'm the general manager at HEB here in Magnolia, Texas, and opened it 5 years ago. It's been a really short 5 years, it feels like. And I remember you were my first customer that ever came in the door that morning. And I think you cheated and got there a little early, but we're not going to tell everybody, just the people listening.
It's nice to know people in high places.
But, being at a grocery store, I get to see a lot of people, and I get influenced as much as I get to influence just by being there. And HEB, I started in 1991. Here we are 30 years later. You took a job just because I wanted to take a girlfriend out, but I kept the job, and it's been awesome for me now to work in the community that I live and getting to see the people daily. It's been a blessing to me. I met my wife in third grade, and we just celebrated our 25th anniversary with 3 kids. I got Nolan, who's 24 years old, and Madison, who's cheering at Texas Tech right now. She's turning 21 in a couple of months. That's scary. And then Garrison's a senior this year at Magnolia High School, and man, we're going to be empty nesters real soon. So, been in Magnolia 20 years, raised my kids here. They all went through the school, and you were the principal there for my first and my second one. So, just grateful to be here. Grateful to have a life where I have a family that surrounds me and helps me grow, and then I can push them as well.
So this year is kind of really a banner year. 25 years of marriage, 30 years with HEB. And that I was sharing your story just this morning with a couple other guys. You don't see that happen very often anymore, where somebody starts literally as a bagger and now is running his own store. And so either people don't stay in the same profession, or the same company for whatever reason. That either they don't have the perseverance, or they find something better, or they think it's better, greener pastures and so forth. But I love hearing those stories today of someone who what an example for your employees. If this is a route that they want to take, and by the way you run your store and model, the way you take care of your employees, I would think there would be a lot of even kids that are cashiers and sackers and cart kids out in the parking lot that if they wanted a career with HEB, you're a prime example for that every day.
Yeah, starting as a bagger back then was $4.15 an hour. So I didn't take the job because I was going to make a lot of money. But yeah, you're right. What happens is today I do employ a lot of school-age children, a lot of college kids who are looking for a career, and so I get to meet with those individually and talk them through what my experiences was, and then at the same time kind of coach and train them on what to look for and how to interview and how to talk to people. So it's not just about HEB a lot of times. It's about just the growth of people and kids, and that's my passion. That's where I live in a daily. I live daily there. I just love to visit and teach and grow, and so I get that opportunity, And I also employ, every age group to kind of influence. But yeah, just being able to tell the story and help people understand that HEB can be a career. The retail business is not a popular place to be sometimes, but man, if you really put your mind to it and challenge yourself, I'm an example of where you could go. So. I've enjoyed it. It's been great for me, and it's been great for my family, and now I just get to share that.
Well, you do what I encourage other men to do, and that is to, wherever you are, whatever it is that you do, whatever circumstances you're in, it's a ministry. And it starts with me. I see that in your role at HEB. But it doesn't stop there. You don't leave it at the store. Where it really starts is in your home, and so and I can say that because because as you mentioned before, we know each other, and I've seen you in different lights, and we've done things like this together for a long time. So. We've done prison ministry together, and we've done this dad thing together, and you've shared your kids with me, and so I've seen it firsthand. So why this title? Tell me why you are so passionate about the idea that it starts with you.
Well, I didn't have the upbringing that most had. I grew up basically fatherless or parentless in a sense, and when you look at it that way, the support system was not grounded. I had role models, but yet not somebody who would tell me they love me and kiss me before I went to school, or just the regular parenting process that you could lose. So what happens is it for me, it starts with me because I had to make those decisions of who Gary was going to be and how he was going to approach life with others and with people who were raising me, and then in the end to eventually meet my parents, to engage in that. So it had to start with me, and I felt like if I didn't start it, we wouldn't be here today, and there's no telling where I would be as a person. I can promise you I wouldn't be on this podcast if I didn't make some very crucial decisions very early.
Yeah, we talked to men at Dad U about being the cycle breaker. Sometimes we're the cycle starter. It's and sometimes it's not only do we influence down, we sometimes are the person or the generation that influences up. And
that's so true.
And I think you have done that. In really, you alluded to being parentless, but you have to a degree reconciled with your dad.
That's correct. We actually, my wife was very instrumental in connecting us back together. Just before our marriage, she located him, and we were able to reconcile after that. We came back from our honeymoon a few months later, and me and my dad have had we had conversations at first, and then I decided I just wrote him a letter. I wasn't sure really who he was, so I just started writing all my feelings and thoughts down, because at some point I think you have to get that out of you. How emotional it might be to some, or maybe it's not emotional to others. Maybe it's in anger, or sometimes you put the guilt back on yourself. But for me, it was more of, let me just tell him what he's missed, because I was pretty proud to share with him who I was and where I was, and let him know, the person I was gonna be and the person I was. So it was instrumental for me to be able to write that letter. And I can tell you that there were some words that were smeared. There was teardrops on the paper. It was a 9-page front and back. Mm-hmm. And I just, at the end of the letter, I just basically told him, I said, Dad, this is the last time we'll ever discuss anything in this paper, because moving forward, you're my dad. And it was powerful to me to let it go. Man, I tell you, if we hold grudges, or if you have grudges and you haven't reconciled them, I encourage people to do it, because, wow, it lifted a lot of burden off of me. I didn't have to worry.
We also tell dads, encourage dads or men that think they've gone too far, that they can't turn the clock back, but you can start today. Or some dads, I think, or men think that they've gone too far. There's no return. But you can start being the dad today. And so, but what was it though? You said your wife had a lot to do with that, and obviously I know Carrie and I know her heart. But how did you reconcile that with yourself to get to the point to write a letter and then to extend yourself to your dad to make that bridge? How did you even get to that point?
I think it was the first time we met. I was still unsure. I didn't know where the relationship would go. I didn't know if we were just going to meet, say hello, talk a few things out, and then move on. But that first meeting, I was watching him, and his mannerisms were exactly mine. We had never grown up together, but everything that I struggle with, or everything that I do, I mean, it's just small things, but I bite my fingers, I bite my nails, and my dad was bleeding out of his fingers because he was chewing on them. And I just looked over there, and I'm like, wow, that's exactly what I do, especially when I'm nervous. And I could tell he was nervous. All the just little unique things I saw throughout that meeting, that Saturday, Sunday, we went out to San Antonio. It just made me realize there's no way away from this. That's your dad, whether you want it to be or not, and whether he wants to play the role or not. So I just said to myself, hey, self, you're going to have to swallow your own pride. if he's not going to swallow his. And I just decided it was going to be me that started it, because I needed it. I just needed. Once I saw that, and I knew that where we were and what I needed, because I think every young man needs a father. Small role, big role. I think you need them. You just need them. So I was going to have to start it, and that's kind of what drove me. Once I saw those traits and the understanding, the characteristics of what was going on, I went back and I did a lot of thinking, lots of thinking, and it hit me hard. So I had to do it.
Well, you mentioned in our show notes that, that the fact that there is no manual or perfect dad that we can follow to be that dad. We talk about being the daily, active, devoted dad. We say that's what dad stands for. But, long before I met you, you were already on that path. I mean, you were already, so it amazes me that there are some men that have a model and don't take advantage of the model. And then we have other men like you that didn't necessarily have that model growing up, but figure it out anyway. So but I know that you didn't figure it out all by yourself. who would you say, or what was the influence, who were the influences in your life that, that wasn't obviously your dad, that landed you here to realize now that you didn't want to repeat, what happened to you with your kids and your family?
Yeah, I say, I joke in Dad University a lot with this thought of no manual or perfect dad, because I was in and out of a bunch of homes. I had some great friends throughout the years whose parents took me in, loved me like their own. And I just watched every home I was in. I would watch the dads. I would watch the mannerisms, the way they carried themselves, the way they treated their kids. And man, honestly, as I grew up, I thought, when I become a dad, it's going to be so easy, because I've got all these things I've saved up that I've watched, and I've been able to put those things in my pocket. So when I become a dad, it's easy. All I got to do is remember what all these guys taught me. And, it's simple things, just as I'd come off the baseball field at a high school game. I have 7 or 8 dads that came to me because they knew I didn't have somebody there. And that meant a lot to me. But I thought, man, I'd saved up so many things. I'm going to be a great dad. My kids are going to be able to do all these things. But then I had kids. And, man, they don't grow up in the same world that I grew up in. And we don't, the dinner bell don't ring anymore, and you got to find out where the kids are, and you got to get them out of their rooms as opposed to from being outside. And there's so many changes in life that just when we think we got it all right, there's so many things that could go wrong that these kids could hide from us, that these kids could be doing that we just don't know about. So it's a different way to parent today. And so all the things I had saved up, I got to use very few of them. So there's really not a manual. And, I like to think I can be that guy that kids want to turn to. But, man, I tell you, I want to influence kids in a big way, but I know that every kid's just different. And it's just like my employees at work. If I treat them all the same, I'm going to lose. So that manual is non-existent to me. And you just got to change and ebb and flow and just love.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah. And that's what I hope that men listening appreciate about what we're trying to do with this online Dad University. We may have, as I mentioned, you're the first and the second semester. There may be men that resonate with your message, but there may others that need to hear a different message. And so that's one of the reasons why we're trying to do this, create this library of podcasts and discussions, because different men are at different stages and have different experiences, and what worked for me may not work for you, and your kids may be different than my kids in our situations and our scenarios, but Dad University is also there in Suit Up Ministries to hold each other up and to encourage each other to whatever it looks like for you to be the daily, active, devoted dad, and you have to figure out what that looks like for you. So who do you think influenced you the most growing up?
Oh man. I had so many people, but I'd have to say the Bonnie and Gerald coach who I lived with, who took me in and treated me like their own. And they had a son of their own that was 4 days older than me. When they took me in, it was an instant thing where their child's room was half mine now, and his toys were half mine now. And not that I took them, it's just the way it just appeared to him. And wow, what a gift he gave me, because he allowed that. But two, he shared his parents with me in just a big way. And man, Gerald and Bonnie just still today, they're a big part of my life. And they took me in, and there's several others. I mean, I could mention a whole bunch of people, because I could tell you along the way, man, I was influenced by so many really good people that kind of kept me grounded, because I could have went a bunch of different ways. There's so many outside influence that could have drugged me, but the Stones, the Johnsons, you name them. My high school baseball coach, Coach Thames, teachers. What's funny is when you get older, you realize the teachers that you really didn't think you cared about were the ones who kept you going straight. And I think back at some of those teachers and think, man, I really didn't like her class, but what she was saying during class was so true today. And I've been able to go back and find a few of those teachers who I felt like I just didn't give them my best and thank them, because those are the ones who made the difference, and who saw who I was and dealt with it. So,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, people, the influences in your life, if you really want to look back, you can find many of them that you probably didn't give your best effort to them, but they were giving you their best effort because they knew your situation.
Yeah.
So,
we also encourage men that are listening that might say, well, I don't have children, or, I've already been there, done that, and we say to those dads that have been there, done that, once a dad, you're always a dad. We always have something else to learn, but we can also influence. We can be the neighborhood dad, as you mentioned, coaches and teachers. It might be an uncle, it might be a neighbor. You don't have to be the biological father to serve as a father figure or a dad figure. And so I hope there are men that are listening to your story that can also say, or feel encouraged, that can also say, I have something to give the next generation, even though I may not have children myself, or my children are already grown. So, that's a message that we want to continue to amplify with Dad U.
of course. Well, Jeff, true story is when me and my wife got married, I told her wherever we lived, we would be plugged in a way that's different than any other. I know my story as a kid out there in the high school, a kid out there on the baseball fields, and I told her, I said, we will be plugged in to every sporting event. We will do everything we can possibly do, even before our kids got there and now after our kids are gone, because there's going to be somebody that was in my same spot who needs to be walked across the field for a parent night, a senior night. There's going to be a baseball player there that doesn't have a parent in the stands. There's going to be a basketball player. And, I don't go out and seek those people out. It's amazing how they seek me. Not knowing or having heard my story, we find them. And I can tell you, it's rewarding. I've watched you, Jeff, and I've watched others at homecoming nights make sure that everybody's got somebody to walk them across that field, because we don't know everyone's story. But we have done that now, and through every channel that we could possibly make. And it's rewarding, because I'm going to be there whether they need me or not. And I know you do these podcasts and we do Dad Universities to try to touch as many, but I think you and me both know if 10,000 were listening, we're just hoping to touch one. If we can touch one, we're going to go seek another. And I think that's what we look for is that ability to touch people, and even if it's one at a time.
Yeah.
So I tell these kids all the time, the decisions you make are yours, and you own those decisions, and you gotta grow from them. So let's make great decisions. And if you need help, like you said, if you need help with those, there's people out there that can help you. So that's where we can fit in too, especially dads who have already raised children and done a great job with it. They can help with so many kids. I remember one night being called at midnight by a kid on the baseball team, well before my kids were in high school. And he said, man, can you meet me at Whataburger at midnight on a school night? Because he was just struggling. And, those are the times where you really know how much you're needed. But it was also the times I needed people when I was growing up without that dad.
Yeah.
I could have made several of those calls. So it's amazing what people can do. If you're already past that point, or you don't have children, or you just want to plug yourself in, I promise you, go plug into some really cheap entertainment at a high school game, and you'll find some people who really need you, and that need everything. They need anything just to get that support system going.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how God utilizes all situations, circumstances, for His ultimate, glory. And when you're in the midst of the situations and the life that you were living growing up, we're in the midst of the storms of our lives. We don't really always understand how God could possibly use this or one day use this, but not that we need to fall out of the back of the truck to know that that's not good for us sometimes. But when we endure those things and persevere, and then we share those stories and we use that to help others, that's when it goes back to your title. It starts with me. It starts with me at work. It starts with me in church, and it starts with me, at home. And so I love that. It's a great reminder. If we are looking, if we're not satisfied with what's happening in our lives, sometimes we need to ask ourselves, what are we doing to contribute to it? And sometimes we just have to say, hey, it starts with me. I want to ask another question in regards to your dad. You alluded to the reconciliation. So what does that relationship look like today?
And man, it was in a really good spot. Really good spot. Me and my dad decided, we're from North Carolina. Obviously, I wasn't there very long. At 5 years old, I was brought to Houston, Texas for open heart surgery, and that's when me and my parents separated. But from North Carolina, we're big sports fans, especially college basketball fans. So I had to make it a point. I wanted to find something that I could really hook my dad into, so that we could make sure we were staying connected, and we started to grow close. And so we went to we decided. I told him every year we were going to the Final Four, and Final Four basketball, whether North Carolina was there or not. We're big Tar Heel fans, so we decided, as just the two of us, we were going to go spend the whole week in whatever city the Final Four was at. So we did that for 11 straight years, and got to go to a lot of fun places, and we'd stay the whole week there. So when it was in Atlanta, we stayed and went to the Masters tournament. When it was in Indianapolis, we drove to Chicago and saw the White Sox and Cubs home openers, and just different things like that. Or we'd play really nice golf courses just because we wanted to see them while we were out of town. And so when we did that, man, we got to know each other, and we got to love each other again, and we got to say thank you to each other. And so today we call each other, we do things together. He's retired now, and he's not in the best of shape today. He had a couple back surgeries, but we just encourage each other. And it's like I said at the end of the letter, I said, we're not talking about the other stuff again. The grudge is over. I've got it off my heart. And, man, we've just been able to move forward in a powerful way. So good stuff.
Yeah. And I guess what's ironic about that conversation, or this conversation, is that, I wonder if things had happened differently at the beginning, if you would have had the time, those 11 years plus, and hopefully more years in this time. Not that you ever, again, can turn the clock back, but you have made the most of the time that you have today. and in a powerful way, probably in even a much greater commitment, intentional to be together. And again, it goes back to it starts with me, and sometimes a nudge from your spouse,
Oh, of course.
and who and is why we need each other. That's why men need each other, and we need to also be that person for those we love. And so, wrapping up. So, what is one big takeaway that you want to emphasize to make sure that our listeners hear the message? The Gary Hefner's message. This topic, it starts with me. What would be the final word that you would want to say today as we close our episode?
That's a great question. The main thing I'm always emphasizing is you are who you are, and you can't let anybody control your path. Your path is yours, so whatever destination or whatever you see out in front of you, you can't let hurdles get in your way. There's sometimes God puts hurdles in our way that we have to overcome because he's teaching us something or we're learning something from it. Maybe we don't see it in the beginning, but we see it later. But I'm always trying to emphasize to dads and to kids that, at the end of the day, don't let somebody tell you or change who you are. You be you and live with the decisions you make, because those are yours. Everybody can fall to the fault of saying, well, my parents did it, so I did it. So if you live in a house that was full of drugs and you want to take that path because they did it, I'm telling you, that's not where you have to be. You can change that because your decisions are yours. And I just don't want people to ever think they're caught in a trap. And no matter what it may be, dads can't be caught in a trap. They can't think that they're not good enough, or they can't think that they can't reconcile. Go out there and forge your own path and get to this point where you want to succeed. There's always a way, so you just have to make it. And I just don't like to hear people say it's over or they're not good enough, because, man, I want everybody to understand how good this life can be. And God will forge a path. He will make a way, and he'll help you understand, even in the moments when you don't know what to say. He puts words in me to say, hey, Gary, I'm here with you. Go get it done. So I always try to emphasize that, man, you control you and your emotions, your thoughts, and what you do. So we have a lot of great role models out there, but some of them aren't, and so you don't follow that path. Control what you can control, and go be you, because God made you unique and different, and that's the only thing that I can control is me. So I love the fact that we have that ability.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, I think that's a great message, a great reminder. And, again, I'm going to be continuing to think about, even after this podcast, that it truly does start with me. And all of us have that opportunity to make a difference in the lives of the people that God places in our lives. And Gary, I thank God that he placed you in my life. I thank you for the brother that you are, and I thank you for being the husband and the daily active, devoted dad that you are, and thank you for being here today.
And like I said, I couldn't be more honored, Jeff. This is, if you think about it from start to finish, where I've started and where I'm at today, to be sitting here still gets me a little emotional. So thank you.
Love you, brother.
Love you.